Hi, this is Keiko from Brooklyn Shoe Space. How are you? Today is Tuesday, Shoe Talks Quarantine Edition. We're inviting Don Kilpatrick from Detroit. I've been following him on Instagram. Even though he's not a shoemaker, he's been collaborating with shoemakers and shoe designers. And I think he has a thing for shoes. I'll ask all about it. He's very talented. If you haven't seen his work, please check it out. I think he's online, so I am going to invite him. Just waiting.
How's it
Hi.
going?
Good. How are
So good to see
you?
you.
So good to see you in
I'm
person,
doing
face
okay.
to face. Where are you
I know.
now, and how long have you been quarantining? It's been a
Okay,
long
so
time.
I know. So I basically am in the corner. I have like a little home studio that kind of like a little spot that I've kind of carved out for myself here in the corner of my basement. Um, I've always kind of we've been here about 4 or 5 years, and I use this as kind of a secondary studio when I'm in the middle of doing whatever other project I'm doing. I also have a building with my business partner and studio mate down more in Detroit. So,
Mm.
but yeah, I've really I feel kind of guilty because I've really enjoyed being in here. We've been on a stay-at-home order since goodness, I think second or third week of March. So
Yeah,
it's been a hot spot, much like much of New York too, where
yeah,
we've been right up there. But it's getting better. I've heard and you can tell me, I've heard it's been getting better out in the boroughs there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it's been difficult in some ways, but in other ways, I've had time in this little corner of my basement to do a lot of things that I normally don't get the time to do because I teach full time. Uh, I'm a department chair at the College for Creative Studies and
Yeah.
Illustration, and most recently accepted more responsibility there. My new title, in addition to being a department chair, is co-leader of undergraduate studies. So
Oh, well,
it's a little crazy.
congratulations. Yeah, that
Yeah, no,
sounds
it's
like a
good. Thank
lot.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I actually enjoy it. I think it's a new challenge. I've only been in this role for a couple of weeks, but luckily I have a co-captain in that, so it's not all on my shoulders. But I feel like it's been good. It's been effective, and I know
Great, great.
Aki, and I know Darren and them, and
Yeah.
and I, you know, yeah, that whole group. I really I try to sneak into their actual department is on another campus on our
Oh,
other site. So I always kind
okay.
of sneak over there. I always act like I need to do something over there. And I end up just kind of like, if I don't have time to make anything, I just kind of sit there and just like enjoy all the machines and,
Oh, okay. So
bugging
what's
them
your
about.
campus like? So you guys were able to do things online and move because it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of had to pivot very quickly, like a lot of other institutions, considering the challenge, the unknown, which I think we're all kind of in. I
Yeah.
feel like we were able to get through that and do that successfully. And it's much credit to the students. The students, I have really terrific students. I feel very humbled and honored to be able to do this. It really is inspiring for me, and it's
Great.
really inspiring. My colleagues are very inspiring, and I get a lot from that. I'm
Yeah.
figuring, when I listen to you talk to Darren Brohard,
Yeah.
we're very similar personalities, and I'm learning. I thought I was more of an introvert, and I'm actually finding that I'm a lot more extroverted than I thought I was going into this. I really, yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, your
it's, but
passion
it's, I
for what
find
you do.
ways to try and
Uh-huh.
connect.
Right, right. Oh, that's great. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and
I,
tell me a
I
little
enjoy
bit
it.
about
Yeah.
yourself. So you mentioned a little bit about teaching. So you teach fully, and then on the side you do side projects and your own projects as well. Is that what you
Yeah.
do? Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us a
So
little bit. Yeah, when did you
yeah.
start
Okay.
illustration?
Okay, so I've been illustrating since 1996. That was my first,
Uh-huh.
client job. Um,
Uh-huh.
I've always had a passion for it. It's always been my first and foremost passion. But what I love about illustration is like a lot of other creative endeavors. I think you could say this about shoemaking, about fashion, is that really great. Anything creative along that line, there's definitely a storytelling element, and that's what
Yeah.
I love about illustration. Is I feel like I love drawing, I love painting, but I love connecting with an audience. And I've I've done I still do a lot of my own illustration. I still do a lot of work. I had a New York agent for a time. I've kind of moved on beyond that, and I'm really representing myself now. But I do a lot of editorial work, advertising work. But I think I've always I didn't realize that I would be so much into shoemaking. But meeting Aki Chocolate
Yeah.
and then meeting all the people,
Noriyuki.
and
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
wow. I realized that that's something new that I've kind of infused into my illustration work. And the other thing, recently, one of the things that I felt very lucky about is teaching has really afforded me um, to be able to look at other things and kind of have that flexibility. I've been doing more gallery work now.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and I think that's kind of what I've been doing, where I've been focusing more recently. But I'm still trying to find ways to do illustration just because I love it. So,
Right.
and I've been out here for about 13 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and moved out here from San Francisco. And prior to being in San Francisco, I was in Salt Lake. So, all over the place.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But so when you collaborate with, for example, like Noriyuki Misawa, how did you, so the piece that we're talking about, I don't know if some people have seen, but Noriyuki Misawa is a bespoke shoemaker in Japan, and he
Yeah.
made, oh, you have it there.
I
Awesome.
have them here. I made
Yes,
sure to go
that's
get them at my
amazing.
office. So,
Yes.
yeah.
What's the story behind it, and how did you come up with, how were you inspired? What,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'll tell you that story. That story kind of has a lot of weaving in and out. But do you know there's a shoemaker out in Brooklyn, Anna Marika?
Yes.
I can never pronounce her last name, but we had her out. Well, Aki had her out here as a guest artist, and I'm good friends with Aki. And Aki was like, "Oh, you got to come check out her stuff." And I hung out with them, and I gave Anna Marika a tour of my studio building, and became really good friends. I just she's really great, and just immediately connected with her. And so
Yeah.
every year in November, I go out to New York for the American Illustration Party,
Uh-huh.
and I was out there for that. This is what, three and a half years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And she said, "Look, while you're out there, just down the street, because I was staying in a hotel near FIT,
Uh-huh.
and Noriyuki was having a show of his work just down the street
In
from,
Chelsea.
yes, yeah, the gallery there, and I can't remember the gallery's name, but anyway, she's like, he's going to have a show there. You should go check out his work." And so I took one of my mentors, Nancy Stahl, who's a terrific illustrator in New York, and we're really good friends. I took her to the show and was just like,
Blown.
yeah. And not only that, but I got a chance to meet him. And I was like, wow, and I just, what he was doing with shoes, I thought, because I do a lot of printmaking work, and I
Yeah.
do a lot of carving, and I work with my hands.
Yeah.
And it just kind of opened my mind up to like, oh my gosh, like, I kind of left that thinking like, I don't know if I dare, but I'm going to try to reach out to him and see if he wants to work together. And I just
Uh-huh.
kind of stored that in the back of my mind. Anyway, I get
Mm-hmm.
back home to Detroit, go on with, teaching in the semester, and I get a package a couple of weeks later, and he sent me a copy of his book on shoemaking, which
Uh-huh.
is just
Yes.
amazing. And I'm like,
Yes.
whoa, like I barely met the guy, and he sent me this really nice note, and I was just like, whoa. And it has like all these photos in it and stuff, and I was like, this is awesome. And so
Yes.
so a little bit of time goes by, and I thought, I was getting ready for my solo show, and some time went by. I was taking a shoe in Aki's department. I'll come back
Oh.
to that. And after that, I made a pair of shoes based upon a pattern that they had, a pair of boots, and
Uh-huh.
loved it. It was a really great experience. Beginning to learn sewing and everything. And then I decided to resole a pair of just J. Crew shoes that I bought, like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know, a few years ago or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, okay, I went through all this effort of resoling those. I put new welts on them. I was really trying to practice the skills that I learned in that beginning class.
Yeah.
And I thought, what if I just carve in them? And so I carved into them and I printed with them, and I was like, oh wow, it's cool. And and then I thought, well, what if I reached out to Noriyuki and said, okay, let's collaborate on a pair of shoes. You're the master here, so whatever you like, whatever you say. And he reached back to me, was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, whoa.
That's
So
great.
yeah,
Does
and that
it
kind of started.
does the shoe sole look like a blank canvas to you in your eyes almost?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was really fascinated with the idea, and I've been exploring this with a lot of my printmaking work, is like, okay, the question I got like 7 or 8 years ago when I taught letterpress at CCS, a student said, look, I love all this, but I don't have the money to get a press. I don't have the space to get a printing press or all this other crap. What do I got to do to do printmaking? And at that time, I didn't know what to tell him, because I just was self-taught in printmaking, and it really bothered me that I didn't have an answer for that student. But I think that question's been in my mind for quite some time.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, let's explore that problem from the standpoint of an artist, where, what if different things become that printmaking surface or that carving block, and then, taking that and try. And so I thought, okay, my foot, my body weight is the press, it's the pressure,
Yes.
the paper, and I just kind of ran with that. And to
Great.
I found this old rolling pin in an old
Wow. Uh-huh.
church,
Uh-huh.
and trying to do that, and trying to do different, trying different surfaces and things, and I just kind of feel like I'm getting started with that,
Uh-huh. Ooh.
and then just having it really worked out where I was able to get a grant through, there's the Japan Business Society of Detroit. They were really terrific, and were able to give the college a grant to fly Noriyuki out to visit the college. But I also planned my solo show around the time of his visit so that he could be there for the opening, because we were premiering this piece
Great.
at that.
Yes.
And yeah, when he was here, I said, how much time, if I came and studied with you in Tokyo, how much time would I need? And he's like, well, at minimum 2.5 weeks. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I was like, I'm going to try it. I had a little bit of money saved, and, I applied for a lot of artist residencies. I'm going to consider this my own self-funded artist residency, where I really just dive into this. And it's a little crazy. I don't know the language at all. Don't really know anything. At the time, didn't know anything about Tokyo or anything. And I thought, it's going to be cool, and I went for it. And I think it's one of the best decisions I've made. Quite honestly. And it was such. It's a very emotional thing, to be able to have done that, and to meet them, and Yuki-kan and Misawa-san, and just hanging out with them, and wow, just in the shoemakers class.
Do you have the shoes that you made?
I do. I have them here. I can show.
Yeah.
Them. Well, okay. So I can show them.
Yeah,
to you.
Please.
So go ahead. Oh yeah, for sure. I'll show them.
Yeah, please show us.
I'll show them this way, and then if I need to, I can. Yeah. So I only had enough time to make one of the Oxfords when I was there, but then I had all the material and everything cut out to make the second shoe here. And so I took, and when I got home last July, I took and figured out how to get a sewing machine. I wanted to get a left-handed sewing machine because I'm left-handed, and I love the fact that that old Singer machine is like left-handed oriented, and I was like, I gotta find that. And I found a couple, and that took some time. Just gradually got all the material, ordered some more materials and some more Yuki, had that shipped,
Uh-huh.
and then I was able to get the second shoe, the right shoe, made here in Detroit before I went to New York last November. So I
Wow.
wore these in New York, and that was my goal. Is like, I want to have these ready for when I take my trip to New York in November, and I was able to
Uh-huh.
accomplish that. And then I just was like, oh
Wow.
man, I got addicted, and I made two pairs since that time, and the last pair I
Wow.
finished in February from a pair of last that I bought from you.
Wow.
So yeah, when I
Oh,
went and
great.
visited Brooklyn Space, yeah,
That
that was the first pair I
that
made
is
for someone else.
inspiring.
So
That is
I
inspiring.
thanks. And I enjoy it. I mean, I definitely, know there's so much to learn, but I've now made four pairs, and I'm
Wow.
planning on starting a fifth pair soon. I kind of held off starting that because when I was wood cutting, I cut myself pretty bad, and I knew that, being able to,
Oh
pull and do
no.
stuff, I had to it's all healed and I'm fine, but I had to wait for my finger to heal before I decided to start, because I knew I'd re-injure it and possibly,
Right.
damage undo what the doctor did. And so
Right.
I'm ready to start that. I
Right.
just,
Right.
it might
Right.
be a week or two before I start that, but yeah. Yeah.
Do you see
I
a
kind of,
similarity with do you see a similarity with your woodblocking as well as shoes? Like, do you see similar tools, or is it totally
absolutely.
different? Mm,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm using woodcut. I use woodcut tools. I use a combination of Japanese woodcut tools and Swiss made woodcut tools when I do woodcuts and wood engravings. And I'm using the same tools. I sharpen them, I whatever. Cutting into that outsole leather is like it's like one of the funnest things to do.
Oh
And
yeah?
it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it just, when you get that nice leather, it's just like it's cutting into butter. It's like you
Yeah.
kind of have to be um you get the muscle memory for the resistance of the material of different wood.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you kind of have to understand, and there's some similarities I know with shoemaking too, where you understand the resistance of what the materials are giving back to you when you just,
Yeah.
it's just muscle memory,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to I always try to have a scrap piece, and I do this with other stuff too. I have a scrap piece of illustration board if I'm painting. I have a piece of
Yeah.
scrap paper that I'm printing, all that kind of stuff. So um, yeah, I just try to do that. So
That is
anyway,
cool. Can we see a close up of the collaboration shoes? What is on the
absolutely,
yeah, what
yeah,
is the uh carving? Like, I would love to see the artwork.
yeah. Okay, so let me do this. I'm gonna put my camera so it's like shooting down on my table so that I can get a really nice view for
Okay.
everyone. So give me a second here. I'm
Okay.
gonna set
Sure,
stuff up here.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure, sure. I don't know if you can hear, but just small talk. Did you always carry like a sketchbook with you at all times?
I do.
Oh, I wonder
I'm
if you can hear
very,
me. Oh,
yeah. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. I do. I carry a sketchbook with me everywhere. I'm kind of like I'm very compulsive about that actually. I go through, and I have a few here if you want to see them. I can share them. So this is that
Yeah.
first pair of shoes.
Uh-huh. Oh, this is the
Gonna
cemented construction.
Yeah, no, this was welted. Yeah, this
Oh,
was
really?
welted.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Uh-huh.
we used this was the Landis machine. I didn't stitch the
Outsole
outsole by
stitcher.
hand, but I did, I did hand do the welt, and based off of
Wow.
a pattern. So this was the first
Oh,
pair,
that's
and
great.
I'm really proud of these
Yeah.
because I didn't understand anything about I didn't understand anything about sewing before I started that. So and I'm still learning quite a bit. I think it's still one of those things that I'm trying to learn on here. Sorry, I'm just kind of setting up my thing here
Yeah, I would love to see.
so I can see the
Okay.
screen from my thing.
Sure,
So
sure.
okay, here we go. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the shoes here. And so, if you're
Ooh.
familiar with Noriyuki's shoe, this is like the design of a violin is the way,
Oh,
you know,
nice. Mm-hmm.
the strings and everything.
Yeah.
And I just, when I first got these, I was like, oh man, like I was so intimidated because, I mean, you look at the stitching and everything, it's just like,
Yeah.
what? You
Yes.
know? I mean,
Beautiful.
and then this, oh my goodness, what he's doing with this welt here.
Yeah. Oh, is it a couple layers? Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm just like,
wow.
holy smokes, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So I saw that and I was like, and he made these to measure. And I was like, I don't dare put these on, and
Right.
then so the theme was music.
Okay. Okay.
And so I incorporated a lot of, personal imagery. Like I was born in the year of the tiger.
Uh-huh.
I'm in Detroit, the Detroit
Uh,
Tigers. It's like,
oh,
it's kind of a
yeah.
symbol I use quite a bit in a lot of
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
my work. And I wanted to have on this heel, I wanted to have the guitar,
Uh-huh.
and on the other one I have a violin. I'll show you the other shoe here in a second.
Yeah. Ooh.
And
Yeah.
I'll pull the other one here too. So
Did you like sketch it ahead of time a couple times
yeah,
to see
yeah,
what you like? Ooh.
yeah.
Wow.
So this one has the
Wow.
guitar,
Uh-huh.
and this is the
Very,
heel on that one there.
ooh, very cool. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Thank you. And I just so um and oh my gosh, I really appreciate everybody's comments. Yeah, this was like really just the dream project, and I'm really excited. We've just kind of started talking about where to go next, and we're really hoping to collaborate on something else soon. I love the outsole. I love the
Yeah.
intentional,
The
edge of,
shape. Yeah.
yeah, like a musical instrument, and
Yeah.
just his choices are just like, wow, so spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well,
And
what I could, oh, go ahead.
when you guys chatted initially, he didn't really tell you what kind of shoe that he was gonna send you. It was he kind of just like, I'm gonna just make a shoe for you.
Well, we talked a little bit,
Uh-huh.
and he was we were kind of going back and forth because I was like, I don't know what to do, but do you know what to do? And we kind of did a little bit of that, and then he proposed the idea of music, which I was like
Okay.
really excited about. And this design here is very similar to another design. I don't remember if he just started doing this design around that time or if it was something
Mm-hmm.
that he just finished.
Mm-hmm.
But we I was like, yeah, this is amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he took my shoe measurements, and then when I put these on to print,
Yeah.
like it was like the best fitting shoe I've
Ever.
ever put on in my life. It was like, oh my gosh, it
Yeah,
was just
that's so
insane.
great.
Yeah, and so I was, I finally got the courage up to carve it, and then
Yeah.
once I was ready to carve it,
Yeah.
well, it was kind of tricky because he's got the last in here, and so what I
Yeah.
did is I basically held one of these like micro cloths,
Yeah.
and I would hold that underneath because I just didn't dare touch the leather. I didn't want my
Yeah.
hand oils to get on the
Yeah.
leather.
Yeah.
And so the process for this is
Yeah, I would love to hear. Mm-hmm.
okay, so, and I'll show you in just a second here. I've got kind of the tracings and stuff for another block, but it's the same process for a woodcut that I just finished last night, in fact. But essentially, it starts with the sketchbook. I do a measured drawing.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I did with this is I very gently put this on a piece of paper in my sketchbook, and I drew
The
like really
outline.
lightly
Mm-hmm.
around this outline to not disturb it, because it's like, oh, sweating the whole time. And then I did, I kind of resolved the drawing in my sketchbook. And
Uh-huh.
oh, thanks, Noriyuki, he's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's such an honor. So I did that
Is it
first,
a
and then
mm-hmm.
then I resolved the drawing, and then I take tracing paper. I laid that down on the sketch in my sketchbook, and then that's what I adhere to, or that's what I attach to the bottom of the sole, and I transfer the drawing. And I'll show you kind of how I do that with another block here, because I have some of the sketchbooks that I think the sketchbook that I have those drawings in, I have a friend who's scanning a bunch of my sketchbooks, and that all happened right before the isolation order.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to get to those yet, but I do have one of the drawings. Let me see. So I'll show you. So essentially, this is a wood block I finished last night. I printed, and it's got a very similar theme. You can see I really drew upon what I had. You know, this is just a wood cut, and here's the second side of the block. Ooh. I flipped the block, and I'll show you the print in just a moment. So anyway, with this, I take the blank block. I have the drawing. The drawing is from my sketchbook. I take and I flip the drawing around. Yeah. Because it's wrong reading, right, with printmaking. Right. And although I didn't necessarily do that when I worked on the shoes, because I knew that would also, anyway. So I take that drawing, and then I have this stuff called Serral paper, which I know is used a lot in garment making. Yeah. I've used this for years in illustration. It's really, it works for, and I've got a white piece and I've got a red piece, because I was kind of struggling with like, okay, what's going to actually transfer? Okay. I transfer that to the block, and then I ink the block, because I ink it like I would a normal illustration, because I like to have that. It's an extra step that some people don't do, but I don't know, it's just kind of what I like to do. And and then that's a similar technique that I use for those shoes, and I use this for a lot of my woodcut. And I still, I sometimes will keep those drawings. I end up keeping these so I can show them to students, because they're trying to wrap their mind around it. They've never done this before, and it seems impossible, but this technique works really well, especially if you just, it's that whole idea of measuring and all that. Right. Stuff.
Is it a one shot deal of carving? Are you just super precise with your knife?
Yeah, it kind of is, but what helps me, and part of it's experience, which is good. I'm very meticulous about sharpening my tools. Like I keep those.
Ooh, I would love to see your sharpening tools too eventually.
Yeah, for sure. I do a lot of that stuff too, and so it's really sharp tools. It's really and having scrap, like Noriyuki included a big chunk of outsole that was just scrap, and I would kind of test my carving tools to see if they were still sharp on that block, and just to make sure I wasn't, and if they're too sharp too, that I could put a lot of force behind a cut and then cut through, or that was a little stressful, but I just I just decided I'm going to take, and I'm just going to go for it, and just go for it, and just try to have confidence in it, and not worry about it too much, because I tend to overthink things, and it's not something that is helpful when you're trying to, you know what I mean? So,
yes, I do. Did you carve this pair that you see on the screen right now? Is this the most recent pair?
No, so this is the pair.
Oh, the one that you made in Japan.
Yeah, these are the ones I made in Japan. Actually, a really recent pair, the most recent pair is these right here that I made from the last that I bought at Brooklyn Shoe Space. So these are, it's the basic, Oxford. But I decided I wanted to try printing on them, similar to because I did that sneaker workshop with Aki, where we went to my studio and I printed on different types of leather. And then we did a workshop as part of a fundraiser we did at CCS. Okay. And I thought, oh wow, it's cool. But one of the things that I found when I was hand making these is that the ink is kind of rubbing off, so I've got to figure that out, and I'm hoping to kind of figure out like a better ink for that. But essentially, I took with this when I cut all the different parts, like the vamp and everything. I basically did that with the wood cut, to that size. Beautiful. And thank you. This was kind of tricky because instead of using tracing paper, what I did with the pattern is I took the vamp and I copied that onto a piece of acetate, and then I would lay the acetate here to kind of make sure that I lined everything up when I
Wow.
decided to print on the leather. You know what I mean? So that it would
Yeah.
be centered, and I'd get a good piece of the
Yeah.
hide,
Yeah.
all that kind of
Wow.
thing. And so
Wow.
that was for these shoes here. And
Wow.
I'm pretty happy. I mean, they've been worn, so obviously
Yeah.
they liked them, but I still, there's still a lot of things that I know that I need to keep improving on, and I'm just, excited to just keep learning,
Oh,
and
that's great.
keep
That is.
improving and, trying. I feel like
Oh,
with these, I definitely feel like I improved from the last pair because
yeah.
there's two
Yeah.
steps forward and two steps
Yeah.
back where you're just
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
like,
Only you, but sometimes it's one of those things only you know. Some when you see
right,
it like this, I can't see any
right.
of, any imperfections or anything. It looks
Uh,
great. It looks great.
thanks. I mean, well, thank you. And I kind of feel like I'm at a point now where I still, I remember having, oh, so someone asked a question here. Do you take custom orders? I don't really feel like I'm in a place to take orders yet. I feel like I still have a lot to learn. I really, when I was in Tokyo, I remember talking with Yuki Khan and saying, hey, how many pairs before you're ready? And one of the things they recommend at the shoemaker class is that someone makes 10 pairs, and then they're ready. And I kind of feel like, I might be able to make a pair for someone else,
Hmm.
but I still want to learn a lot, and there's a lot that I can learn. I want to learn how to make women's shoes. I still haven't even tackled that yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
just want to try and
I,
learn as much as I can.
yeah, it's your
So
journey just started.
yeah, and this is another pair I made. This was with a pergamena hide. These I
Uh-huh.
need to polish these up, but I these I made for myself, and I love um, I love wearing these. I was gonna wear them today, but I was like, that's I normally don't wear them in my studio just because I make such a mess in here, and I'm worried about getting
Like
ink or paint
ink.
on them,
Yeah.
and so but I
Now,
have worn these quite a bit. So
once you make your own shoes, it's hard to go to other shoes, no?
yeah, yeah, I know, and it's something that I really enjoy.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
That's great.
I'll
We're gonna go back a little bit. I want to see your tools. It's like sitting there. It's
oh yeah.
enticing. Yes,
Okay, so
show
so
us your
which
tools.
okay, so oh yes. Okay,
Ooh. Oh, it's
so
another pair. Is this another pair?
okay, so no, this is
This is
the
a
pair J. Crew, yeah,
J.
where
Crew
I
pair.
did.
Oh, wow.
And then I've got the other one here. Hold on, I need to grab the other one. I have stuff falling all over the place because I'm in kind of cramped quarters here, but um, I have these on these just to kind of keep them
Uh-huh.
like on display here. So
Yeah, yeah. Ooh,
so
fun. Is that
this
a
this
fox? No,
so
it says
these are
wolf.
so this is the two wolves,
Yeah.
and this was based on a story that a good friend told me of a Native American grandfather talking with his grandson, and he's talking about the two wolves fighting inside his head,
Uh-huh.
where one stands for everything good and one stands for everything bad. And the
Okay.
grandson says, well, which one's going to win? He says, the one I feed the most. And so I just thought, oh man, it was really powerful, kind of resonated with me. And so I based it off of that story she shared. And this is where this was kind of the impetus for me to kind of do this thing. And then
It's
um
beautiful.
thanks. And then I also had these old cat's paw,
Uh-huh.
like, and I've been
Yeah.
trying to collect as many of these as I can because I just love that old style. Reminds me of
Style.
my
Yeah.
dad and my uncles and stuff when they would have their work boots and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, my tools, like, so I use a bunch of different stuff. I
Yeah.
use the, I think it's called, is it hangito, the Japanese cut
Yeah.
carving knife, for
Yeah.
mokuhanga.
Yeah.
And this is like my go-to. I mean, you can see I've used it so
Yeah.
much, and it's got the bevel on one side, flat blade on the
Uh-huh.
other.
Uh-huh.
Sharpen this with some whetstones. I got my
Oh,
typical V gouge and U gouge, and
yeah.
these come with a long handle that you trim down to the
Yeah.
base, and then so it's custom to your hand. Um,
Wow.
and I bought these. These are actually really nice. This is like top of the line. I bought these when I was in Tokyo in the summer,
Uh-huh.
last summer, and these are great because you can take these out, and
Whoa.
then if you damage the metal, you can resharpen them. And
Sharp.
so these, they tend to be a little bit more money, but they're you know
Worth it.
oh yeah, and
Yes.
like that was the thing, is when I made it a point to try and go to a couple of art supply stores when I was in Tokyo, because I was like, I just know that they're going to have an amazing printmaking section. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like standard, for, I mean, it's like the birthplace of it all, and I'm just kind of like
Right.
thinking, and I went there and I was like, it was amazing. I went to,
Ah,
and I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Bumpoto. I
but
don't know. It's so Bumpoto,
oh my goodness. Maybe I don't know it.
but it's,
Polo.
yeah, it was really great. And actually, I think this one, yeah, let's see if I've got that there. Yeah.
Ooh, that
But I
looks
was like,
great.
but
Oh,
it was kind of nice. And so, what, I mean, and I use this for a bunch of different stuff, but that's kind
mm-hmm.
of, well, and this actually right here is the print that I did
That
based
you
off of
did.
that
Mm,
most recent. And I did this last night, and I used, they're great. They're these new inks that this company makes
beautiful.
that
Uh-huh.
you
Do
can
you
clean up with
do
water. Hmm.
do you do one a day, one at a time, or do you work on a multiple to get at the same time?
It depends on what I have going on. Like I would,
Mm-hmm.
when, a couple of weeks ago, I was working on a large woodcut for a client. It was
Mm-hmm.
for, a whiskey company. It's Traverse City
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey. And I was working
Mm-hmm.
with an agency on that. And that was like a really large block that measured like 15 inches by 18 inches. So it was a really large
Mm,
one. I work on larger scale too, but lately I've been working on a smaller scale just to get them done, because I
yeah.
figured with the isolation order, I thought, I'm not going to try to do, I wanted to see how many woodcuts I could do when I have the time, I can't go anywhere
Right.
else.
Right.
And I've finished since the stay-at-home order, I've finished maybe 10 or 11.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I've seen your videos at like late night videos. It's kind of
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's
What
been fun.
what's your favorite tool out of all your tools that you have? Like,
Out
is
of
it
all
your pen? Is it your notebook? Is it your knives? What do you cherish?
what do I cherish? Well, there's a few things. I mean, there's not just one thing.
You're right.
There's, I absolutely, I cherish my woodcut tools. My sketchbook is definitely
Yeah.
something I cherish. Um, but also when it comes to shoemaking, my sewing machines, like I just love looking at them. It's like a
Yeah.
car, I like, I'll
Yeah.
go over there and I'll oil it, or I'll like just look at it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
shine it up, and just kind of sit
Right.
there, and I'll like, I'll just sew a piece of scrap leather just to like, ooh, and some of so I love that. I really love shoemaking tools. Like
Mm.
actually, where I'll find tools, my most
I
used
would love to
ones, and I've
see.
got, yeah, I just I definitely have a tool fetish. So some of the stuff in here, like
Ooh,
I love my skiving knife.
Japanese knife. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I love this thing, and it's like, this is so versatile, and this is one thing I'm really grateful to them for, was teaching me how to really use this.
Right.
And keeping that sharp is super
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Nice.
I bought a pair of lasting pliers
Uh-huh.
from
Yeah.
Darren. Actually, Darren inherited a bunch of tools, and I bought these, and I I've done a lot of work to restore the teeth so that they,
Uh-huh.
pull and, really clean these up. I really
Yeah.
love this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I don't even know what to call this tool, but this is something from an old shoemaking hammer that they sent me. And then I basically sculpted this based off of photos I took of the tool they showed me. And
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they had a name for this, and I can't remember it, but this is another, just because it's
Huh.
so nice and smooth, and it's actually
Yeah.
very useful for a lot of different things when you're
Yeah.
doing
It's
the
almost like
outsole.
bone folding, like
Yeah,
almost, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know
yeah,
what you call it, like a hera? You
I
call it a
think
hera?
so,
I'm not
or
sure.
yeah.
Ooh,
And then
cool. Very cool.
this pair. Oh,
Yeah.
these were something that I was really happy that
Yes.
they were able to send me, is the
Yeah.
spring and the handle of
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
Like I could sit and just like do with these while I'm thinking,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, that's
Um,
great. Yeah.
yeah, really
And it fits
similar
in your
to.
hands really well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is a pair too. Has a wider nose. These are English made, and I started filing the teeth on these to get them sharpened, and I haven't gotten back to this one. I'm almost finished with I did this, and then I had to kind of like shift gears, and I had to put that aside. But I also
Right.
bought a pair from, there's a company out in, I think in Salt Lake, that makes
Mm.
these, and these are
Oh.
on a reproduction of an old German design.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I
And
didn't know that.
yeah, they've got the textured
Yeah. Yeah.
end here, and
The
then they've got
hammer.
the
Yeah.
smooth top. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to try
Oh.
these on my next pair,
Next
but
pair. Okay.
we'll
I
see.
I'm amazed how you can find the time to make shoes and do your illustrations.
It's a little manic. It's a little manic. I got to admit, this is the thing. I was talking with a friend about this. I think, some people, I talked a lot with Darren about this, where I think some people, they don't, everybody copes differently. And I think my way of coping with the stress of the moment
Yeah,
is to really just jump in and just,
make.
make things. And even if it looks bad or it sucks or whatever, I at least did it. And I know
Yeah,
that would stress out another person to no end, because some people the thought of doing that would just be like, oh my gosh, I feel the pressure. But for me,
right.
that's how I cope with the anxiety and how I feel
Mm,
better.
mm,
And I'm really grateful that that's the case, because that's really kept me together and what's kept me sane through this whole situation. I know
mm.
and I feel kind of guilty, because I've been able to, I feel like I've been more productive as a
Right,
result
right,
than I was before the pandemic. So,
right.
um,
As an outcome, it is, yes, and yeah, but it's
yeah,
good that if it's a good way for yourself to like call, what's it,
yeah,
meditate. It's
right.
great. Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, and
Um,
I feel very grateful for that. So, yeah.
I would love to see your sketchbooks too,
Oh, yeah.
or and your pens. Like I feel like somebody also had asked what kind of ink you use.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So,
or I don't know if that's like a trade secret that you don't want to share.
no,
That's fine
no.
too.
So actually, no, I really, I use this stuff called, let's see, I've got a couple of different things that I use, and I'll just kind of find them here on my messy desk. Um, I just need a moment here. Let's see. There's that, and then I use this. So I use this ink for illustration. I use it for transferring to my woodcuts,
Mm,
but it's Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star,
mm-hmm. Mm,
and
okay.
I was using this, and then a really good illustrator friend of mine in New York, Yuko Shimizu, she goes through this stuff like nobody's business, because that's primarily her thing, and it's really good. It's permanent. It
Mm.
doesn't have a lot of shellac in it, so it does really well. It doesn't kill your brushes.
Oh,
Um,
okay. You use a brush with it, not like what do you call
yeah.
those points? Sorry, I'm not so
Oh,
knowledgeable.
like a dip pen. I
Yeah.
sometimes use a dip pen, but I'm
Mm.
more of a brush
Okay.
person. I think I like drawing, but I consider myself more of a painter. I love using a
Okay.
brush more than I do a pencil,
Okay.
and and I feel more comfortable painting than I do drawing. I really look, drawing for me is more of like a preparatory thing to get me
Yeah.
to something else, is the way I look at
Okay.
drawing
I
most
see.
of the time. Some people that's not the case, and some artists that's not the case. Another stuff that I use is this stuff here. This is like
Ooh.
this is like the super black India ink that Speedball makes. I got this huge thing of it. So
Uh-huh.
I have this here. I like to use this a little bit more, but this is like $9 a bottle, whereas this was like, I don't know, a little bit less. And so I kind of
For
just
this whole big, yeah.
yeah.
Mix
So
them up.
I kind of go between the two,
Uh-huh.
and
Aki says I'm addicted to that stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's
Is
so
it this
good.
stuff, the smaller stuff? No, the big
Yeah,
one. Mm.
yeah. And then I have, you know, I have a couple of brushes that, like this one here. This is made by Isabe. It's not a round brush. It's called a rigger.
Okay.
So, and I don't know why it's called that. It has a different name, but it has like, doesn't look much like right now, but when it's wet, it holds a point like nothing else.
Oh.
But I also, to be honest with you, one of the things that I did during this stay-at-home order is
Yeah.
I intentionally bought a pack of brushes for like $10, just to
Uh-huh.
see, like, because I was trying to like put myself in the mindset of the student who might not have access. And
Right.
I thought, okay, can I do this with inexpensive materials? And I've been able
Mm-hmm.
to do that. And so, like, I got a bunch more like this, but I bought the cheap pack for $10, and
Yeah.
these are great. They don't last as long. They kind of
Right.
they fray a
Shed.
little bit,
Yeah.
but I've beat these up, and they've done the job. So I think it's really just learning how, much like you would
To
with shoemaking tools, what
knives.
kind of
Yeah.
mark does it make? You know, just really experience that, and then once you kind of commit, then go and be
Mm-hmm.
fancy and buy
Mm.
the the sable
Right.
brush, and you
So
know.
when you sketch in your sketchbook, do you also use ink and brush, or do you use a pencil or a pen,
All
or
the
do you
above.
have like a brush pen, one of those that has like
I
a little
do.
wet
I do.
ink in it?
I have. Oh my goodness! I mean, I could go on forever about this. So you just opened the Pandora's box. Um,
Oh,
so I
I
mean,
love
I
listening
like
to it.
this is like, I can't tell you how great this is, because when I want to talk about art supplies, everybody just automatically like, I feel like I'm that energy vampire from that one TV show, but so I use these pens here. I get them through Jet Pens, and there's like a blue one. It's got like, this one here just has more of a fine tip
Uh-huh.
to
Point
it, and then
five,
this
point
is like a
three.
sign
Mm-hmm.
painting brush that I
Sign
use
painting. Mm-hmm.
that has more of a fine, brush tip to it.
Wow. Oh, so
Um,
it's a brush tip. Wow.
yeah, I like the brush tip. I like the flex
Yeah.
of the brush more so
Uh-huh.
than, I'll use pencil, but I tend to like brushes more.
Mm.
And I've had all kinds of different kinds. There's also like, let's see, this kind right here. This is like more
Mm.
of an inexpensive kind that you can get at Blick when I am too impatient to wait for this to arrive, you know. And but I have to ship for everything now, so I have to be patient. It's taught me
Yes.
patience. There you go.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
um,
We
but
only have a little bit of time left, but I would love to see some sketchbooks.
oh yeah, here we
Yeah.
go. So
Wow.
I want to start with this one here. This is, I've not done a lot of travel, and I did travel to Japan, and I figured I wanted to have a book just devoted to that travel.
Uh-huh.
And I this is made by, there's a sketchbook maker out of Poland, Koval Sketchbooks. These are amazing, by the way.
Uh,
This is like the
okay.
best one.
Wow.
So
Is it the paper? Is it the quality of the paper or?
yeah, the paper is just, anything I throw at this thing, it handles it really well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's just,
Let's go. Let's dive into it.
okay, cool. So this is not related to that. This was just me testing the paper, but so
Ooh.
right out, I stayed in Nezu, and so this was right
Mhm.
outside of the subway stop, or the metro
Uh-huh.
stop there.
Uh-huh.
And I was drawing people on the metro, but I could tell I was making people very uncomfortable. So I kind of stopped doing it. I drew for a couple of days, and then I thought, I just had this feeling like, I don't know, I'm just gonna kind of like lay off doing that, because I don't want to make everybody uncomfortable around me. And so
But you have like a charm that, you can just smile and they'll be okay.
I hope so. But
Oh,
it,
wow.
so just,
Wow.
on my daily commutes going
Yeah.
to and
Yeah.
fro,
Yeah.
I think this is when I went to Harajuku, and,
Mm-hmm.
which was a long ride from where I was staying
Mm,
at the
mm.
hotel. But,
Wow.
a
Wow.
few of these here.
And is it a quick sketch? Is it like maximum like 5-10 minute kind of quick sketch?
Yeah, typically, like, one of the things that I do with figure drawing is I really try to, uh, just get, just really, it's a language of shapes. It's a
Right.
pattern of shapes, really, and it's
Yeah.
shape design. And I quickly try to interpret what are the shapes communicating, and
Mm-hmm.
what is the story that the body language is expressing. And so
Mm.
I kind of, just really practice and hone in on that, because I don't know if I have got the model for 5 minutes or for 30
Yeah.
minutes because they might get
Right.
off at the next stop, right?
Right. Right.
So the other thing that I did is I decided, so when I was there, I brought my paints with me, but because I was at the shoemaker class until 6 o'clock each day, that I just thought I wanted to get as much experience of seeing Tokyo as possible when I wasn't in class. And so
Yeah.
I just took a lot of photos, and I thought, when I come back to the studio, I'm going to do my paintings. And so that's where I kind of
Okay.
started here. And
Okay.
these are all my tags for my dry cleaning.
Oh,
So,
wow. Wow.
but,
Funny.
but, and I went to the Sid Mead had a gallery show that Noriyuki had a piece in. So that was from
Uh-huh.
that. But these are all just the
Wow.
paintings that I did from all the different travels.
Photos. Mm.
Yeah, when I was
Wow.
there. My
Some,
favorite building in Arakawaku,
okay. Okay.
really old building. This was on,
Uh-huh.
like, when I would see this building, I know I was walking in the right direction to my class in the morning,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was like the only old building that I saw in that area.
Yeah.
Everything else looked so brand new and
So brand
nice.
new. Yeah.
And this was like this really old building. And I was like, I also liked it too, because it stuck out like a sore thumb, like I did.
Ah.
And so I was like, it's like I could relate to this building.
Oh.
So,
Funny. HCRIP custom asks, how long does it take to do like one of those images, for example?
so I consider these painting studies.
Okay.
So that's basically, like, I would use this as preparatory before I do a more finished painting. So these
Okay. Wow.
typically, on average, take me about an hour to 2 hours to do once
Oh,
I
wow.
get
Wow.
cooking. And
Wow.
I really try
See the
to map
color.
out, like, my color scheme here, so that I know,
Wow.
kind of as a roadmap to get back there when I'm mixing color. And
Okay.
I can, I'm always looking at swatches. I'm like the king
Mm.
of swatches. I
Mm.
think you can never have enough color matching of value. I don't care if you're working in fabrics, leather,
Right. Right.
paint, you
Right.
always have to be comparing light
The
and dark and
color. Yeah.
texture and all that good stuff. And this place here, this was like right, so my hotel was next to Ueno Park,
Uh-huh.
and that was like my oasis. I would go
Yeah.
there early in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and just like I'd walk
Walk
around the
around.
park, and
Uh-huh.
then this was a shrine next to, like, the zoo that's there,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
it's on this beautiful lily pond. And I just, when
Yeah.
I saw it, I was just like, I just, wow, I just don't know what
Yeah.
else to say. It was just like,
It,
it was like
yeah. The lily pond is, yeah, this is the bridge that goes over the lily pond, right? Or
yes,
no? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, this
yeah,
is
yeah.
leading up to the shrine, yeah,
Yeah,
right after the
yeah, yeah,
bridge.
yeah.
And this is like a
Nice.
little market. There's the lily pond,
Yeah.
different times a
Uh-huh.
day.
Uh-huh.
This was a
Uh-huh.
grandfather and his grandson. This is like a very universal thing. Like, I didn't understand a word of what they were saying, but I could tell the kid was like, "Hey, Grandpa, look
Look.
at this and this," and he's like, patiently answering his questions, and they're going
Yeah.
for a bike ride, and
Yeah.
I
Oh, that's
was like,
amazing.
yeah. And this
Uh-huh.
was another shrine.
Wow. Is it
It,
just rainy that day?
yeah, it just had rained. It
Wow.
finished raining, and so I,
You can see the texture. This is just from painting, right?
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
these
Oh, and Misawa workshop. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that was great too. One of the days they didn't have class at at the classroom, but I got a chance to work with Misawa-san and Yuki-kan in their studio. That was amazing. It was amazing watching them work. I was like, they make it look so easy.
Yes.
They're just like,
Elegant too.
oh my gosh, just how quick. And I was like, how do you do that anyway?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
you know,
Wow. Yeah.
Noriyuki
Oh,
working
wow. That's
away,
beautiful. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Yuki.
Yeah.
doing her thing.
Yeah. Mm.
And then
Wow.
more of Bueno Park. I've got a few more of these planned. I'm going to, and the sewing machine that I used. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I love this machine. You know.
Is this something similar to what you got back home?
Yeah, yeah. If I have a minute here, I'll show you guys. I know we're kind of low on time, but. And then this was something I recreated one morning when I was leaving for class from the hotel. Everybody, it was like rush hour. Everybody was, you know, going to work, and this guy rode by me on a bike, and he had this
Shiba dog or
Shiba
little
dog in the front basket, like kind of like the guy was his taxi. And I thought it was the funniest thing, and I didn't get my camera soon enough, so I kind of combined this with a couple of things.
Oh,
you know, just to remember that. But that's
but
that's how far I got
cool.
there. I'm really excited though too, because this painting here of Yuki got into American Illustration.
Oh,
as
wow.
well as let's see here, as well as this painting too. So I'm really excited that those were recognized that way.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
put in that. And I do a lot of painting in my sketchbook because I kind of feel I just like to see, I like to push the paper to the limit, you know, and see where, you know, how far, how much abuse I can throw at it before it, like, you know, begs for mercy or whatever. And,
right. Or like gets too, like not wet, but yeah, the texture changes or.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you'd be
so beautiful.
It's like you're able to do quite a bit with it. And there's this type of paint that I use that I really recommend. It's actually like, it's gouache, but it's got an acrylic binder in it. It's a acrylic gouache. And this stuff here, so I love using gouache paint, but then I also, one of the things I don't like is it lifts up when it activates, when you're trying to thicken and layer on top of it. And this stuff doesn't once it dries because it's got the acrylic binding to it. So,
right. Do you ever sketch shoes too?
I do, and let's see if I can if I have any in here. I've got this is one more thing too. I'm going to send this actually to Yuki and Noriyuki. So, you know, the shoe nail, yeah, I love this box.
I know, I love this box too.
I mean, it's like, this is my favorite, one of my favorite things. So I decided to do one based off of that for Misawa workshop.
Oh, yeah.
So I did that, and I did a carving.
Oh, wow.
And I'm
beautiful.
I'm going to do thanks. I'm going to do a print for them. I'm going to send them this block now that we can ship stuff out. I bought this wood engraving block when I was in Tokyo, and I wanted to gift that to them. So
that's so nice. That's really cool.
You know, one of his shoes on top of the machines,
and it's a tiger, and is it a tiger?
Yeah, tiger, and it's got the beehive in there. That's based off of an image. Let's see, I've got the image here somewhere.
I feel like maybe we need to like pause it and then like reconnect because we only have like 2 minutes remaining. Ooh,
okay,
that's cool.
Yeah, so let's do that. I'll we'll jump back on here. So I'll just jump off and then we'll jump back on. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Cool. See you in a second.
All right, see you in a second.
Yep. All right, bye.